Welcome to Return on Insights, the show where candid conversations with bold founders and leaders spark actionable insights for your business. I'm David Lindover.
And I'm Erin Abatangelo. Each week, we pull back the curtain with leaders who are scaling teams and shaping the future, sharing the insights that create impact far beyond the bottom line.
Discover how high-performing companies build enduring cultures, inspire teams to think bigger, and turn vision into action. If you see storytelling as your strategic advantage, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Return on Insights podcast. I'm your host for today. My name is David Lindover. We're joined by Uwe Kurfürst, an engineering leader with a fascinating career path from steel mill maintenance to spearheading engineering, procurement, and construction management project execution. Uwe is currently building a full EPC division for Orion Engineering in Texas. He brings a unique perspective on collaborative leadership and the strategic use of AI to eliminate inefficiencies and reduce client costs. We'll dive into how Uwe's approach to communication and teamwork helps prevent project failures and how AI is transforming engineering workflows without replacing the human element. Welcome to the show, Uwe.
Hey, thanks a lot, David. Thanks for having me. I look forward to having this conversation.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. So can you describe your career pivots, your key pivots that shape your leadership approach?
Sure. I mean, when I started off with my career, started off in a steel mill. I had a scholarship through a steel mill, studied through them, went and worked for them, maintenance side, started as a maintenance technician and worked my way up. About 5 years into that, I got a little bit of a taste and appetite of getting involved in a project. Right, it was a migration project at that stage, and of a control system, and I was on the owner's side. And one of the big things that we had as part of that project was, from our side, was that we wanted to have a lot of customer participation because we had the knowledge of how this process was going to operate and how we wanted to improve it. So we got to do a lot of that customer participation in the design, in the engineering, in the programming, in the setup, in layouts of hardware, software, all of those kind of things, electrical side and everything else. And that project was a pretty lengthy project. It was a project that lasted about 4.5, 5 years, at which point, being in the steel mill at that stage, you have all the knowledge of the system. We want you to stay on, and we want you to go and now maintain the system and everything else around it because it has new processes. I wasn't quite that ready to go back onto the tools and become a maintenance guy or stay a maintenance guy, right? So I thought to myself, Dad, this is maybe just not the kind of thing that's going to be good for me. This is maybe not the thing, that I have a thirst for. I've tasted the other side. I like it. So I decided to rather leave. And I went over to a consultant house where for a year I was involved in project management and engineering of traffic control systems and tunnel ventilation control systems in the traffic side. Now, there were some unique things that come out of that I learned that I didn't know. It isn't just a straight, switch a road traffic light on, make it red, make it green, whatever it is, light up a couple of signs that say, hey, you can go 45 miles or whatever it is, and keep the fans going, right? There's carbon monoxide meters. There was a whole lot of other technology involved behind that, which was super fascinating, which once again fueled my thirst for, hey, this is where I want to go. So I pivoted at that point out of a maintenance environment into a projects environment. I then joined a system integrator that migrated and updated control systems. And I joined them here in 99 and got exposure to specialty chemical plants. I got exposure to batch control systems, intricate, complicated control systems, safety systems for offshore and onshore oil and gas environments. And I loved that. And I was involved in the programming and the design and the engineering and the planning. I moved from a system application engineer up to, being a principal system application engineer, where effectively you run a vertical of an industry, right? Whether that be a chemical industry, oil and gas industry, You run an industry, you run the budgets, you run the BD effort, you manage the projects at an overall high level. So you feed the project managers will feed into you, and that kind of stuff. So you keep everything going at that stage. At which point I was 10 years into my tenure with the system integrator, and effectively I'd said, hey, I was looking to do something slightly different, and the company said, hey, look, a lot of our clients are oil and gas clients, right? And yes, we are a South African-based system integration house, but we're a global customer base. A lot of them are based out of Houston, the USA, and we think it'll be very valuable for us to open up a office in Houston and have FaceTime with those clients instead of having a 7-8 hour time difference and having conversations, right? So challenge accepted. We got into the process of getting all of that done, and in December of 2009, I came across and opened up the US entity of that, took that off the ground, FaceTime with the clients, uh, part of the BD effort, right, of trying to build something up, part of the recruitment drive, part of, compliance, safety, everything that goes with developing and building up that office from the ground up, finding the right kind of people, the right mix of people, the right skill sets, that you want to have, that have the skill sets, but want to also mold, that want to also contribute. Very, very difficult to find, and you're going to be picky, right? It's as simple as that. You're always very picky, but, it was a great time in my life at that point. I went for about 10 years doing this, building it up, doing projects locally, providing, interface for the local clients, still feeding, a lot of some of the offshore business and offshore projects out to doing some of the back boiler room engineering out of South Africa, doing some of the engineering out of a Singapore office, doing some of the, the other stuff out of a United Kingdom office out in London. So, the company had grown. And it was a very exciting time. We built something, from the ground up. It was great. At which point I thought, you know what? I'd like to see a little bit more. It's almost like I'm starting to stagnate, which was my second big pivot in my career, and I pivoted to more to the EPC side of it, right? Where for now I'd always been very much electrical, instrumentation, control systems. I pivoted to how do these three disciplines feed into the rest of the engineering on a large scale project and being able to contribute on that. So I joined an EPC firm at that point as one of the industry leaders. I did that for about 3 years, running that industry, making sure the BD goes, being high level responsible, same as what I was, from a perspective that, hey, we are running these projects. You got PMs, you got everything else, but a high level, you're making sure that the quality is there, the projects get executed on time, and you have good communication right through the bank, right? I did that with this company for about 5 years, and then moved over to starting up a business unit at another EPC firm for the automation side again. Big challenge for me to have done that, and I look forward to being able to really contribute to growing something brand new again. Unfortunately, as anything happens, there comes restructuring sometimes, and economic climate changes, and there was a restructure, and I had to move on. Since then, I've joined Orion Engineers and Constructors. Right? They came along and said, "Hey, look, we want to grow our business. We have offices out in Mobile, Alabama. We have an office in Pascagoula. We have an office in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. We want to have a presence in Houston. Are you interested in opening that up?" And challenge accepted, right? And now it's a matter of have a look at how all the disciplines once again feed into that, and how technology can help us, right, going forward in growing the business.
What a journey. So that takes me right into my next question. So how has your transition to EPC leadership changed your understanding of project management?
I think quite a lot, right? In the early years of when, I did the project management on the control system side, it was the kind of thing was out there that when you had something go wrong, you try to fix it and not let the client know. It's never good to give the client bad news, right? I think at the moment, what happened when later on in life, I suddenly started to realize that, hey, maybe it's a good thing to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because everybody has ideas around how we want to fix it, or how we get out of it, or how we do not get into it again. And a lot of clients have gone through a lot of projects. They have a lot of experience on their side as well. And they'll say, we've run into this before, and this is how we fixed it. This is what we can sit and do. So it was a matter of where, my mindset really changed to, let's be open, let's be honest, let's be transparent, and let's talk about the problems. Let's talk about the challenges. Let's talk about the issues, right? And get everybody together. And it doesn't matter really who it was. Anybody and everybody can have an idea. Anybody and everybody can have a suggestion. It may not necessarily be pertinent, but I've sat in meetings where people have piped up and had some kind of ideas. Wasn't necessarily pertinent to that, but it has sparked another train of thought. It sparked another idea of how we solve certain issues, how we prevent issues, how we prevent certain challenges from reoccurring. And really, that's what it was, right? That flip, that change for me is to say, I've got to be a lot more collaborative. We've got to get people into a room. We've got to be talking about our challenges and our issues. That way, we take care of them. They don't manifest into something a lot bigger.
Definitely a very positive transformation. What lessons did you learn from the past project communication failures that influence your collaborative style today? I mean, some of that you just mentioned. Are there more lessons that you can bring forth?
Yeah, I think, lessons are really the kind of things when you go into project management, right? And it's all about the reporting. It's all about, communicating and talking to people and telling them, right? I think the other thing that is very important is, when you give status updates and you write status updates, some of those go to not just the project managers, right? It goes up to a senior leadership level within the clients, right? So that, a project status report should not be sugarcoating anything. A project status report should be telling you exactly what it is, what the challenges are, what the issues are, and how we can take care of them. What's our mitigation strategy? Those kind of things, right? Because if senior management, my side and on the client side, is not involved, it comes as a surprise. It really doesn't end well in a project, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows, right? You're only as good as your last project, typically, right? And we pride ourselves really on repeat business, right? That's the name of the game, is repeat business, doing a good job for the clients, and it's a win-win. That's what you've got to find in that. And it's just being open, honest, and have the freedom to pick up the phone and communicate.
Very well said. How are you using AI to eliminate waste and increase efficiency in your current projects?
Well, that's a good thing. So, AI, since it's come around, right? It's this. Some people call it a dirty word. Some people are, very concerned that AI is going to take over the world, and we've seen the movies. AI in itself, I think it's very important that we take the time to learn and understand what it really is and what it can do for us, right? Typically, what we do with AI to really eliminate some waste is the mundane day-to-day tasks that somebody would be sitting there and typing and feeding and collating data. Be that on a resource scheduling side where you want to go ahead and do your scheduling of all your people, right? They've been scheduled in a scheduling program individually on projects. You want to collate them all together to have a look at a manpower loading, to have a look at a freewheel capacity of the company. You know, you can have AI collate all of that data, so much faster than one guy can go and sit and do this and type it and look it up, right?
Yep.
Yes, you've still got to quality check it, but the time in the human side is basically quality checking that, the data that's come back, right? But you have it at your fingertips, that kind of information. You have it on dashboards, you have it available to clients, right? So really that's what we use the AI portion for, is to speed up some of the collating of information so that we can make better decisions and we can provide better information to our clients, at the drop of a hat. I'm saying in almost real time purpose, in real time, not actual real time, but it is, as close as we can try and get to it.
Yep. So what challenges are you facing building this new EPC division, and how are you managing them?
I think the challenges are always there, right? As far as, what do? There's two ways of doing this, right? In the old manner of things. Do you get the work and then hire the people, or do you hire the people and then find the work, right? Both have pros, both have cons, right? I think the challenge is in being flexible. The challenge is is understanding what is coming down the pipeline. The challenge is having a good BD network, having a good relationship management system, having a good client relationship with clients that have repeat businesses in other areas. For argument's sake, like the way we're doing it right now, the best way for us to do that in the Texas division is we have a ton of clients that we've done work with in other states, right? And they have local representation. Leverage that. We've done good jobs for them there. Leverage the relationship to be able to build relationships here, to be able to see there is business coming this way and it can be executed locally, right? You may not have that business, but your opportunity factor goes up as you build those relationships, as you know those people, as those people go and promote you, right? And it's relationships that I have as well, that you're going to get certain jobs. And you're going to get small jobs at the beginning to build it up, but you will get those jobs. You can hire people, right? And what you want to do is you want to, in my opinion, what you want to do is you want to hire your senior guys, right? In an office when you build it up. So hire guys that are in the different disciplines, that are going to be your senior guys, that can be the face, that have the experience, that can talk confidently about their subject matter that they're experts in, whether that be mechanical, whether that be civil structural, whether that be electrical, whether that be instrumentation. It doesn't really matter, right? You want to have those senior guys. And there are guys that have multiple hats, right? Guys that are PEs and they may be PMPs, right? So you've got that level in there. When I talk about PMPs, I talk about, project managers that are certified. When I talk about PEs, I've got certified professional engineers, right? So you build up that core and you get and you secure that work. They're the face, they're the guys that are going to control, as technical leads, control those parts of those projects. The boiler room work can still be done by some of our other officers, right? And as we get that work in, we can slowly start feeding, like I would say, feed the sausage machine from the bottom upwards, right? You can start bringing in young talent, because that's the one thing we need to do, right? We need to bring the young talent in as well. We need to bring the young talent in and start teaching them from an early stage of where, of what we do, how we do it, how we see success, right? And how it's been executed. If we don't do that, we see a big gap, right? Between people going off on retirement and those people that are coming into the industry, right? And I think we're going to lose some of that skills gap unless we all, become cognizant of that and bring that back into the fold and bring the young people in to learn. Once again, like I say, it is very important to find the right people that are hungry, motivated, and that want to learn.
Big challenge. So to transition back to a bit of the conversation we had earlier about, diverse inputs and open communication, how do you maintain your culture that values that diversity of input and open communication on large engineering projects where it sounds like the teams are perhaps distributed and large?
Yeah. So the only way you maintain a large level of communication, right, is involvement, right? You need to make sure, your team's involved. Everybody's involved that's in the project, right? That goes from project huddles, having those kind of things, to project meetings internally. But it goes to putting everybody, in a room, right? Whether that's a virtual room, sometimes we can't have everybody in the same room, but as far as possible, have people in the same room, have people in the same office, and they can have a conversation around a cooler, right? A water cooler, right? It's funny enough, you're going to find a lot of conversations where people are going to have one-on-one conversations and say, hey, this is what we did here and here and here. Well, how do you, this is the challenge. What do you do? And guys will talk about these things, and they'll bring that back to a meeting, in a huddle, and they'll say, hey, I just spoke to, Mike, and he's busy on this project, and this is what they've done. Isn't this something that we could possibly do as well? Wouldn't it make sense? Like I've always said, David, I don't need to be the smartest guy in the room. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, right? I just need to be the guy that puts the smart people in the room.
Got it.
And there are a lot of smart people around me. So, I just got to give them all an opportunity to get in a room and have a conversation.
Sounds like the good old-fashioned way, Uwe. I got shivers as you were saying that.
Hey, I tell you what, David, right? You can laugh about this, but I tell a lot of people in the company as well, right? Young people text, young people, everything's email, Teams, texts. If I've got to answer the third time, I've got to type a text out on my phone, I'm picking up the phone and I'm having a conversation, because I can't type that fast. Unfortunately, I'm just not that good with my fingers and my thumbs.
Same here, pal. Same here. It's the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
So my last question, what advice would you give leaders aiming to embrace AI without alienating their teams?
I think it's a very simple thing, right? I said it earlier. AI, we've got to sit there, we've got to learn, we need to understand. We need to understand what we want to apply it for, right? You need to remember that AI can do a lot of mundane stuff, right? Within a project controls environment, reporting environment, dashboards and all of those kind of things. AI can do a lot of that collating of data and information for you, right? That can present that for project managers. You can have one project manager now maybe manage 2 or 3 projects and have the technical leads. That's not saying we're going to take away project controls people, because you still have to have project controls people that are sitting and putting data in, collating the data per the project, right? It's not, you've still got to put something in. It's the same thing, right? We can have AI and it can be as all powerful and everything as you have, but if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. We're not replacing people. We're giving people an opportunity to do other things that need to get done. AI will not replace physical things that need to be done, but we need to free up people's time to do the things that they need to do, instead of sit and spend 10 hours on something very repetitive.
Well said, Uwe. It's been a very interesting conversation. Your career trajectory has been, astounding. You've come a long way, and I appreciate you spending your valuable time talking to me and my audience today. Thanks so much, Uwe, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.